When I was there that year in Itri on that last year, me and my chavruta, we decided we already went through all the Rebbes. And that last year we were learning chavruta with the Rabbanim. We were already on the fourth chair. It was like the foot out, the year that generally people start dating, going into Kolel. So I remember that we did something that later on proved to be probably one of the best things we've ever done. We spent that last 6 months of Wintersman, happened to have been Bava Mitzia. We went out every single week and we heard the Shir Klali of different Roshei HaYeshivot all over Israel. That gave me an opportunity to pick up and to see the real McCoy of the old generation before we lost him. I went to Rav Gustman. I heard a Shir Klali. I sat in his house once. I spoke to him one night in learning while he was playing chess with one guy, dictating a letter to another guy, and talking to me and learning, third guy, simultaneously, at the same time. It was wild. Wild. I got to hear Shir Klali from the son of Rabbi Chanan Wasserman, Rabbi Simcha Wasserman. I got to hear Shir Klali by Rabbi Beryl Schwartzman, the Rosh HaYeshiva over there in Beis HaTalmud in Sanhedria, the son-in-law of Rabbi Aaron Kotler. I got to hear Shir Klali from Rabbi Yonason David in Pachad Yitzchak out in Harnov. I got to hear I went around to hear the greats. I wanted to hear the greatest of the greats of the generation living at that time and soak up as much as I can to pick up the different styles, the different gadlut of Torah. I wanted to taste it. I wanted to taste the delicacies of the different giant chefs of Gedolei Torah of Klal Yisrael. I want to taste their food. I went all over, me and my chavruta. And one time, I'll never forget, we ran downstairs to the payphone. We put in an asimon. I don't even know if you know what I'm talking about. There was these little coins that... Alright, anyways, we put in the asimon. We called Panovich. Because on the side of the payphone in yeshiva, the directory that they have on the wall are the phone numbers of all other yeshivot in Israel. Every yeshiva did that. If you wanted to call a friend in another yeshiva, you know how to catch him. We called Panovich in Bnei Brak. And we asked, that day was Thursday. We asked, what is Reb Shach giving on today? What's Shir Klali? What's the sugya he's giving on? So some Israeli guy from Panovich answers the phone on the other side of Bnei Brak. And he says, we're holding now in the sugya of Dav Dalet, Slaim Dinrin, Dalet Amud Bet. And here are the Mar Mekomot. And the guy was very nice. He ran, he brought the Mar Mekomot, and he read it off over the phone. And we sat there in Yerushalayim on the other end with a notebook, and we wrote down all the Mar Mekomot. This is the share that Reb Shach is giving today. That morning for Seder, me and my chavruta, Yitzchak Mandelkorn, we ran upstairs, we learned together all the Mar Mekomot, we prepared the sugya, we prepared the share. And then, at 11 o'clock, we went to Rehov Strauss, we jumped into a sherut, 7-man sherut, going out to Bnei Brak every 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes. Oh, those were the days. Those were the days. Those were the days. Those were the days. I wouldn't trade those days, those years for nothing. At the time we didn't appreciate it. It's like everything in life. At the time that you have it, you don't appreciate it until you no longer have it. That's just life. When do we get that wake-up call? So jump into the taxi. We went out to Bnei Brak. We made it to Panovich. We came walking in the Bet Midrash where Reb Shach walked in. The place was mobbed. The place was packed. I'm talking about packed. Over 1,000 guys. Reb Shach makes his way up the steps in front of the famous golden Aron Kodesh of Panovich. You remember the famous picture with his hands in the air? That's a Shir Klali. That's the way Reb Shach used. It was a war. He came out with the boxing gloves, Kiviyachal. He came out fighting. Reb Shach gets up and starts giving over the sugya. I'll never forget, he closes his eyes and he starts saying over the sugya. And he starts going into Rishonim and Aharonim, and then of course the Rambam, Reb Shach's forte. And he started going one mahalach and another mahalach. And in the front row, right in front, the first 2 rows, right in front of the podium, in the front of the Bet Midrash, apparently that's where the heavy hitters of Panovich sat. Because all the questions and all the guys that were trying to upslug the share were sitting in those front 2 rows. And they started bombing questions. And Reb Shach was up there like a lion tamer. He was answering them, knocking them out one after the other. Unbelievable. It was something to see. This was something to see. And then Reb Shach continues on. And he goes till 1 o'clock. Then it goes to 1:30. And it goes to 2 o'clock. Nobody's moving. And I'm sitting there, and I remember that Sheikh Lali starts at 12:20, whatever it was. And it goes for an hour, 1:20, 10 minutes Musar, 20 minutes Musar. Mincha's 1:45, lunch is 2 o'clock. It's already 2 o'clock. It's already 2 o'clock. 2:15, 2:30, 3 o'clock. Reb Shach is going strong. And he's not saying his eyes are closed. He didn't open up his eyes. He was running. And nobody moved. Over 1,000 guys. It's already almost 3 hours into the share. Nobody moved. Till suddenly, out of the blue, Reb Shach catches himself. He opens his eyes. And he looks up. And he sees the time. It's after 3. He was supposed to be done a little over 2 hours ago. Reb Shach says, he starts to apologize to the tzibur. And he says, Seine schuldig. I'm sorry. Ich bin azoyvi asikel. I'll never forget that. Because Reb Shach, he had a hard time saying the shin. Everything was, Ich bin azoyvi asikel. I'm like a drunk. Ich steh auf einem bottle. I forgot exactly how he said it. I'm kegging, or whatever he said. I'm standing in front of the bottle. I can't hold myself. What he was saying was that he's standing in front of such a tzibur that he couldn't hold himself. He didn't realize the time. He didn't realize the time. I'm like a drunk. When it comes to Torah, says Reb Shach, I'm like a drunk. I'm drunk on it. I'm standing in front of the bottle. I can't help myself. I didn't realize the time. That's the way Torah was meant to be. It was meant to be oneg Torah, like oneg Shabbat. Everybody understands oneg Shabbat. You take a look Friday afternoon in the stores, you'll see they're mahader and oneg Shabbat like nobody's business. You walk into any good store, you'll see, wow, what's going on in these people's shopping carts. Oneg Shabbat, adla shamayim. That was meant to be oneg Torah. The essence of Torah was a mitzvat nehenin. And the birachot, the birkat Torah, was a birkat ha-nehenin, says the Lavush. That's why there's 2 birachot. Biracha aharona for yesterday's. And the second blessing is Beracha Rishona for the coming days Torah. That's unbelievable.